Ooh, this is a surprise. Good evening, everyone. It's just gone past 9:30 in the evening on the 16th of November here in Cape Town, and I missed out on the morning forecast, tracker update, and so on. And we've got a late night tonight, so I'm sitting here playing around with some statistics and thought, well, I might as well give everyone an update, an evening update. So we're nearly 12 hours difference, and we'll be up for a while tonight. It looks like Jeremy might be in 1:30, 2 o'clock. So by the time we wrapped up with that, it'll be 3. We might get back here and get organised as long as there's no power outages, into bed by 4 o'clock in the morning or something. And then I might sleep through the 10 o'clock forecast tomorrow or tracker updates. I thought, oh, what the hell, I'll do one now. And there's some interesting stuff going on. And part of that was because I started to play with statistics, looking at what's happening at the back end of the fleet here. We've got a huge split in the from front to back. If we stick that one there and we stick this one here on Simon, 2,600 nautical miles. So the fleet is now, after 2 months, 2,600 nautical miles. That's about 2.5 weeks split the two, provided the boats are all sailing. And there's some funny things going on with the weather and all sorts of reasons that the back enders are not making fast progress. So I'm going to take my time on this one. This is an evening thing. You might not be at work in some parts of the world, so if you want to watch it, we'll just have a chat, and we'll talk about all sorts of different stuff. Anyway, we'll just pick up now and we'll start talking about the back end of the fleet, which that's a bit too far, I think. Suhaili is wrong way. Suhaili is still the benchmark, but she only moves every 5 or 6 days or something. So anyway, we've got Guy Waits here, we've got Arnaud, we've got Ian Herbert Jones and Elliot. They're sort of pulling away a bit from Arnaud and Guy. And even now, when we look at this, this is pretty depressing for these guys, because they've got a southeasterly, which is sort of a headwind. If they were hard on the nose, they'd be making it out to the east, which is a bit difficult. Arnaud, by the look of it, is completely given up. He's making 1 knot and just heading downwind. He might be hove to, but this little boat indicator gives you a sort of a rough heading of the boat, moving through the water. So he's decided it's not worth going to windward. If he goes out on starboard tack, it's just basically, you can still be going east. Maybe it's the wind's stronger than it appears here. That's probably 25, 30 gusting higher, and the sea state for both of these guys. Let's have a look at the waves. They'll still be a bit lumpy, I reckon. Here it comes. Internet's a bit slow. Yeah, that's pretty solid. That's 5 metre sea there, 4 to 5s. Same with Guy, pretty big seas, even though the wind's in the 30s. So it's sort of reminiscent of Southern Ocean weather, not very pleasant, especially if the wind's coming from where you want to go. So it's completely normal in some ways for Arnaud to be backing off a bit and just go with the flow and wait and see what happens. It's not getting him to Cape Town anytime soon. Guy's a bit the same. He'll keep sailing. He's it sounds a funny thing to say. He's used to this sort of stuff. A very experienced sailor. He knows his boat. It's strong. He's plodding along on port tack, basically going with the wind very forward of the beam, and the boat will be jumping around a bit and so on. But at least he's moving, and he's doing 3.1. He needs to move, because I did some numbers on that. In the last 20 days, a Guy has made a net total average speed of 40 miles a day. He's only travelled 800 nautical miles in his plans getting towards Cape Town. That's including his diversion and bits and pieces, and that's been made good in a southeasterly direction. So if you look at his track and you go back 20 days, he dodged down to Puddlest for a while and then came back the other way, and his net total towards Cape Town represents 800 miles in 20 days. So that's a true average of about 40 miles a day. And as I say, that was including his little diversion for a few days when he changed his mind and came back again. And he's still got quite a way to go. Arnaud is in a similar situation, because in the last 12 days, his net total average is only 50 nautical miles a day over the last 12 days. He's only made good 612 miles in an east-southeasterly direction. So it's incredibly slow, and he does have a long way to go as well. And it's got nothing to do with going to Cape Town. I mean, he's nowhere near Cape Town at the moment. This is just normal sailing. And if we come back to the other reality is that yes, basically, you need to be down here, and we've got the start of what looks like it's going to be a typical South Atlantic high forming up here, and it's in the normal position, and they're on the wrong side of the high. Okay, you need to be down here. Here's the 40 again. This is where they form up, and they come up a little bit. They'll come up a little bit in a sort of an east-northeasterly direction. The center of the high will move like this, and that is then what produces your westerly airflow here. But again, if you read what I posted today on the Antarctic vortex and the implications of that, how it follows down in a few various ways, it's keeping the westerly winds further south than they may normally be for the Southern Ocean. And maybe that's part of it as well. But boy, they're caught on the wrong side of the high, which is a bit of a problem. Ian Herbert Jones still at the front of it, and Elliot's making time. They've got a southerly that's on the beam. At least they're moving. So Elliot's doing 5.4 knots. Ian Herbert Jones doing 4.5. They're moving. But if we progress this forward, as I animate this, you'll see Guy and Arnaud are going to be on the wrong side of this for some time. Okay, so here we go into, this is tomorrow around midday. They've still got the same southeaster, and they're trying to go east. Not a good look. And then Guy's going to be a bit higher. They're still basically stuck in the southeasterly airflow, and that's on the night of the 18th already. We're into the 18th, and they've still got headwinds. So there goes the next couple of days. They're not going to make much progress at all. At some point, you'll see Guy tack over, and probably Arnaud as well, and start heading southeast. And you can see here, this is the 40th parallel. That's where they need to be. If they're here, they're making progress then up towards Cape Town. So I really hope they make it, someone at some point makes a decision to get going south as fast as they can to give them a fighting chance to get to Cape Town in a reasonable amount of time. I'm really feeling for Arnaud. I doubt whether he's going to make it past Hobart. Anyway, let's keep our fingers crossed and hopefully they can do something. And we'll follow this. We haven't seen one of these for a while, the South Atlantic High doing what it's meant to do. So I'll keep animating that. And just in reference to the four boats at the back of the fleet, Elliot and Ian Herbert Jones and so on. So this is now into the 19th. This is coming up to midday on the 19th. This is now the typical South Atlantic High. These guys are going to slow down if they stay where they are. That's 4 days. What have we got? 3 days ahead. So that'll put them about 400 miles ahead of where they are. So let's see where Elliot is. Oh, come on, I won't do it. So about can't get the toggle here to give us a distance. Yep, there we go. Okay, it could be okay. So Elliot will be looking pretty good. That's about 300 miles ahead. He should be that far ahead in 3 days' time. So at least they're getting light southerlies, which will keep him following through to Cape Town. So that's good. And Ian could be something similar. So by then he's going to be maybe around here somewhere. It'll be light, but he's okay. And then hopefully Arnaud and Guy are on the back of this and making ground. So very interesting times for them. Okay, so we'll now look at the guys in the front part of the fleet. We'll talk about Jeremy shortly. He's due in sometime tonight, our time. It's coming up to 10, 11, 12, 1 in about 3 hours or so. And we'll talk about that in a sec. So here, a lot of people have been asking about Captain Goog. I must admit we were completely confused as well. I'll come back to today's weather. Basically, he's been sailing around in circles, which is quite interesting indeed. And he still is, which is even more interesting because it looks very clearly that there is a solid 20, 25 knots, gusting higher from the southwest. So you'd think he'd be roaring off. We sent him a message quite some time ago. Goog, are you okay? He got the message and called us up and said, "What are you worried about me for? What are you making a social call?" And he was quite surprised to learn that we were concerned about the track that he was going through. And he was a bit surprised when we told him he was doing these knots, because he said basically he's not had much wind. He's just been drifting and the currents have been pushing him around. The other thing is you can just see here there's a bit of an outline, which is a dull area, which means there's less wind in this area than over here. And so it's fair to say that he's not getting, he's not getting weather that we're seeing here. He hasn't had much wind. And I went on to the windy site. This is the main windy site, which is a little bit more accurate for a few reasons. And you can see there that the area of no wind is very much more defined, and that's about where he's been. So he may just be in a big hole, as he says. He hasn't had the breeze to go. He's still on board. But he's been challenged to get the breezes that we think he's receiving. So, oops, wrong one. So here's the currents. This is where it gets a bit interesting for everyone down here. We'll put the currents in now, and you'll get an impression of what might be happening. I'll make it a little bit well, first of all, at this scale, I'll just bring it up here. You can see the area that he's sitting in. It's got a reasonable sort of current that's coming up from what we believe is a consistent sort of southwesterly or southerly in general terms. These positions that they determine for the Agulhas current are usually reasonably accurate, because a lot of the current definition by satellites and information is covered by the sea surface temperature. Because when you get these currents, they're different temperature. You get different temperature gradients as it goes through. It's not as if they're able to photograph the water going around. I mean, they can. There's ways of doing that, but it's usually generated by the sea surface temperature, and then they can tell which way it's spinning as well through various. I'm not an expert at this, but various ways. But the temperature is a very good definition of where the currents or what the currents are doing and the borderlines of that current. And you can see here it's counterclockwise, and absolutely the water is spinning off. Now maybe he's closer to this than this one appears. It's not totally accurate, but he may be experiencing big currents. And if you blow this up, the currents have been pushing him around quite a bit. So when he's sitting there doing nothing, the current's the one that's pushing him around. The only confusing thing is the current's all in one direction. It's not a tidal thing going back and forwards. And the winds he's had are a bit consistent. So I don't know. It looks confusing, but he's perfectly happy sailing along merrily, or sitting there wondering where the wind is and what's going on. So don't worry about Goog. He's fine. And then we'll talk about currents on a couple of the other entrants here, because it's interesting to watch. It's happening right now as we speak. I'm not sure how you're going to perceive these snail trails here. I don't know whether the definition's enough to show it, but anyway, if we look at Abelish, you can see, interestingly, where he's been affected as he's crossed over different parts. I'll go for the full length track here, if I've got this right. Okay, there it is there. So I can see Abelish is really clearly here. As he's coming down here, he hits the current line, and bang, he rockets down. Now, this is a fair way back, but it did knock his course around a bit. He got a big shift here, pushing along on the edge of that, and then it deflects immediately as he goes across this one here. But it's pushing up. You can actually detect when they're getting knocked around by the current. At the moment, Kirsten's she's sailed into this big downflow. This was in the last 4 hours, and immediately she gets on the edge of it. You'll see her course is deflected down with the current, because these will be going at 3 knots, which is quite a lot. As soon as she gets to the edge, she's sailing along like this, and bingo, she's heading straight down. With this course here, which was no, that's nothing. That's Jean-Luc. Where are we? Tapio. He's rocketing along here. It's hard to see what's going on. He doesn't realise it's happening, but as soon as the current started increasing, he's heading up. So now, he might be sailing there. If we now put the wind over the top, it's light winds. He's doing 2.8 knots. He's got hardly any wind. The current's probably driving a lot of that. Kirsten's dipped down with the current there. They haven't got a lot of breeze at the moment, but they've got lots of currents. So, they're all being affected in various ways. Fortunately, there's no huge wind against tide that makes dangerous wind. Waves, rather, with the wind against tide. Wind against the current. Okay, so we'll go back to wind and look at what Simon's doing. He's playing with fire here, but he knows what he's doing at the same time. This no-go zone, for every hour that he crosses over into the no-go zone, he gets a 3-hour time penalty. So you don't want to go there at all. At the moment, he's only about 22 miles away from the border. There's 23, so he's about 22 miles, which is nothing. If he gets a big nor'wester, he could get swept down into it and would face a penalty. We allow them to do it if for safety reasons, but if they're sailing along the edge and they have to push down, we say, oh, you shouldn't have been there in the first place. But he knows where he's supposed to be. He's aware of his position, and he's waiting for these southwesterlies here, which he knows coming as well, because it was part of the overall forecast that part of it's what we gave him. So generally, you'll see you're sure to see Simon's new course start to come up as soon as he gets these southwesterlies. He'll come up a bit and get away from it. Interestingly, when we look at Jean-Luc, he had the same boundary, this no-go zone, and a lot of the fleet all stuck to 40 degrees south, going across the Indian Southern Ocean here. And Jean-Luc's is exactly what he did. He never got pushed too far into the zone, but they can wobble up and down. He got a great run through here, but some of the other entrants were up and down. This is the area where Abelish and Gregor McGuckin, got into trouble, and I'm feeling for Abelish because I know he'll be reliving this as he goes in, and part of his unique psychological pressure to sail through here, because it'll just be reliving the moment, and it was a pretty scary moment he had. So anyway, that's kind of interesting. So you don't really want to follow the border down here. It's going to get you into trouble, and it's in 3 hours for 1 hour is a big deal. If they do get a time penalty, they have to serve that when they're in the North Atlantic heading up after they've crossed the equator. We pick a zone there, and they have to spend their time in a box. Over there, they can't move forward. They have to wait for whatever time the penalty is. Again, with this whole weather scenario, you can see, if I'll stretch this back to the whole world, this is really interesting. In my mind, it is anyway. All of the heavy weather is down below the 40s. Generally speaking, I mean, here it's pushed up, but there's not a lot of activity above the 40th parallel, and also there's not a lot of westerly there as well. This is very interesting. It's all been sucked down, and that could make it, I've spoken about it a lot, but this will be the last time for a while, but it could make it very challenging for the sailors, our entrants. They may not get this sort of beautiful westerly ride with the beautiful Southern Ocean and so on. They might start saying, where's the westerlies? I'm beating to windward, blah, blah, blah. So watch this space. Anyway, back to what we've got here now. So the big three here have got not much wind. That was predicted. And let's just see what happens. We'll just... Captain Goog's going to get breeze for sure. You can see it coming, but we'll just look at this now and start to walk it forward and see what's going to happen. This is animating every hour. You can see this area of no wind is going to be overtaken by the southwesterly, which is very typical, but there's still some frustrations coming up there. And then they get a southwesterly. In fact, Goog gets a bit of a breeze, so he'll get sailing, and hopefully he'll stay in this gradient there and keep sailing southeast. Gets him going. So no big storms or anything coming. Simon's going to go light. These guys are a bit of a mixed match, but that's in the 17th. Now we're into the 18th, 3 days away. Still a bit of a mash there. Simon's going to be coming across, trying to get up there, but he's got big holes as well. No strong westerlies at all. You're getting a northerly now coming down and a northwesterly, and then slowly it starts to get real again. But the heavy winds have come up the top above these guys. So, Goog will be liking this. He'll be roaring down. Simon's going to get some solid northerlies, but he'll be up higher by the time he gets there. He'll be, by the time those winds reach him, he'll be up away from the zone, so that's pretty good. We're now on the 19th, so that's 3 days away, pushing through into the next one. The graphics catching up. Here you got some beautiful westerlies, and then you got a sou'wester. That's going to be some big seas, so that'll push in for probably 6-7 metre seas for Simon. So this is on the 19th. It's 3 days, 150, so it's nearly 500 miles in front of where he is now. Let's just estimate what we got here, 500 miles. Oh, he's going to be right up there. He'll be up in here, so he's going to be impacted with that lot as well. So the next few days, a mixed bag, but generally okay, and generally, this is looking pretty good with westerlies there, so we might as well keep pushing it to see if this forecast holds what they're going to get. That's all pretty good. So into the 20, Again, it's all underneath the 40 degrees, so this is roaring 40 stuff. They're going to love that. That'll be cool. Yep, they'll be enjoying that. No complaints. That's 22nd. We're nearly a week through it. Oop, there's a big hole, and then all sorts of strange stuff going on. But that's okay. So that's all interesting for them. No surprises, and I think they'll enjoy the ride. And Captain Good gets a push that'll start tomorrow, so you'll see him take off there. Okay, nearly there. We'll talk about Jeremy now. We'll build this up and just show you what's going on. It's all pretty straightforward. He's on the home run. I think he'll be a bit disappointed. I was worried he might try to stall or go somewhere and wait till daylight, because there's a lot of people in Cape Town that actually want to see him come in. He's got a lot of friends here. We've met quite a few of them. They're bringing boats out and so on. But it's going to be at 2 o'clock in the morning, which is not conducive to a huge crowd. Okay, so I'll keep building this up. It's about to roll over in about another 6 minutes. Another position. Oh, that was too far. Boom. I'll have to... Okay. Oh, there we go, the wrong way. Okay, we lose the latitude and longitudes here in a different format because you've gone up into the super zoom situation, which is a bit harder to follow. So I might try and see if I can knock that on the head. Yep, we're back again. One more. Can we see him there? Yes, there he is. Okay, so there's the gate line there, and Jeremy's down the bottom. So at the moment, this was nearly an hour ago. Come on, I can't get the... Okay, sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes there's glitches on the program here. The same with the total distance to the finish. A few people are commenting that it's not right. The leaderboard's not right. It's showing Simon's 900 miles in front. He's only actually 600 miles and things like that. Hold your breath. Usually sorts itself out in a few days. So sometimes there are little glitches. Okay, 26 miles away. 26 miles, yeah, that's about right. So 25 miles. He was doing 5.9 knots, near enough to 6 knots. So it was about 4.5 hours. This was an hour ago, so it's about 1:30 in the morning. And I think we'll be gone before we might. I can't sit here and talk while we're waiting for 5 minutes for it to get up there. So yeah, somewhere between 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning. And we'll be all out there, and then this will be the last. Jeremy will be the last boat that Ada and I get to meet. But we've got Rian and Eve and Peter and Cheapest. I've forgotten her name. No. Our team. Eve and Margot. Oh, jeepers, you're going to kill me. Okay, we've got a whole team of people that are going to look after us with this one, and they'll be filming for us and filing for us, and so you'll get to see all the same things, and they'll be interviewing them, and you'll get a different slant on that, so we look forward to it. We're sorry we can't meet them, but we got a lot of things going on. So that's all good. Later on, we'll put the map up to show you where the gate is for the Hobart film drop, which is in Kingston. There's a few people talking about going down to Tasmania and in Kingston. You will be able to see them off the beach. They'll just be a few hundred metres off the beach there, and usually in Hobart they have to stay for at least 90 minutes, but having got across the Southern Ocean, what happened in 2018 was that entrants tended to stay for a bit of time. If they got at night time, they'd wait until daylight, do a few things, and then take off. Some of them stayed for a day or two. When Susie went through, she even came back and stayed for another day or so because there was a big storm out there, and it was just the easiest thing to do. So and Tassie's a great place, good place for a holiday. So okay, I'm talking long enough. We've got to wait 3 minutes for a new update. I don't think I'll worry about it. All we can do is we'll play the replay. If you're not interested in the replay, time to go to bed. Bye-bye, but I'm going to play this replay because it's really interesting watching what's happening to the back end of the fleet. I'm just zooming it back a bit. Here, and then I'll drag it back. We're going to go into black here. So here comes the whole fleet, going back. Here's what we got. How far back do we want to take it? A little bit more. I'll speed. We'll put the speed about there, and we can get it playing. It is playing. I'll speed it up a bit. And we can watch the tail enders here. There's some crazy stuff goes on in the end. I'm just getting positions here. Where are we? Cape Town. Yeah, you can. Some of you may not have seen this, but it's a video replay. I can vary the speed by sliding this scale, the top scale. Now it's going really slow, and you can see what's happening to the various boats as they go. So, and the bottom scale takes you back. You can go all the way back to the equator or back to Les Sables d'Olonne. If I decrease the scale on this, I'll take it again right back to. Okay, you'll have a big boat race going on in a minute. So we're right back at the equator. So here we go. Ready, set, go. I can speed it up a bit to here, and you stop and play just off there. If I want to stop it there. You can see who the boats are. Jean-Luc's there. Simon, Avalish. You've got all the different colour names. So when you want to play, you just hit play like a video player, a DVD player, anything like that, and you can watch your boats come down and see what's happening. Big split there. They're all going, and I'll take it up a bit more so it makes it more fun. We're just stalling this out to 2 minutes to go, and we'll have a new update. Look at that. Here they come. The back end is really cop it. You can see at one point Guy is on top of Elliot, but then Elliot's now like 1,000 miles in front or something. Here comes, that's Guy there, I think. Yeah, there's Elliot, Guy and Elliot together. If you can watch this. Elliot keeps going. Guy's now heading over to Punta del Este in Uruguay. He's decided he's had enough. He now pulls around. I could blow that up and you can see all the fun and games there. Here we go. So you've got Guy coming back again, catching up to Arnaud here. Arnaud just back and forwards, getting into a hole. Guy's struggling to catch up, and Arnaud's like all over the place here with very little wind. Ian Herbert Jones taking off, Elliot's rocketing away, all kind of cool, and Elliot gets stopped, but then Arnaud's heading back that way and Guy's going up that way. Anyway, it's 10 o'clock now, so we should see the new position of actually all of them are going to have new positions. Might see Goog turn over in a minute. 10 o'clock, yeah, that's the whole fleet now. So it takes a minute or so for this to register, so let's look forward to seeing what Mr. Goog is doing, and Jeremy should come up any minute now. You'll see him change positions. Come on. That's still 1600. It'll be 1800 in a minute. This is like watching grass grow. Anyway, come on. It's about to happen any second. Oh boy. Yes, you can go to bed now. Oh, there we go. He's off and running. Okay, so yeah, Goog's on his way. He's sailing again now, so it's all good. And let's have one last look here at Jeremy. Here we come. Yep, jeepers, he hasn't moved much. That's a worry. Yes, he has. So we can now pull this back to here. Put him on there. Yeah, 8 to 19 miles. And his speed is 6.3. That's encouraging. 19 miles, 6.3. So it's 10. Let's see, he's back up to 1 o'clock now. Near enough. 6.3, 18. Yeah, it's still, he's caught up a bit of time, but he's on track. So somewhere around about 1:30, we'll see local time. We'll see Jeremy cross the line. Okay, thanks for that. It's a bit of a long one, but we'll try to be here tomorrow morning.